Shea was saying the other day that third and 19 play was the one that kept him up Sunday night. I'm curious from your vantage point, both individually and as a defense, how you reacted to obviously giving up a big one in that moment.
How did I react to giving up a big one? I feel like it was more so of a team effort from everybody, all 11 I was on the field. Just even being put in the right position, not having enough swarm, not getting off of blocks. I mean, of course, individually, I can always say I got to make the play. But, I mean, we didn't really execute on that play. I mean, and they busted a long one.
What would you have done differently yourself if you had that to do over again?
I mean, it's easy to say, but just make the play. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you got people blocking downfield, and that's not as an easy task. I mean, the easy answer is to say get off the block and make the tackle, but that's not as easy as it sounds.
3rd and 19, I would imagine most defense think they're already off the field. Do you think you maybe fell victim to that?
Nah. I just feel like we weren't in the right position. We didn't have the right our right keys. We didn't take our keys. We honestly didn't swarm hard enough. And honestly, we just didn't make the play. We just weren't in position.
What's been the mood the last few days as you guys try to figure out what happened, especially in that fourth quarter, and then try to move ahead and improve for next week?
I mean, that's the mood itself, move forward. I mean, there's nothing we can do. It's easy. I mean, we just keep saying, watch the film, get better. But, I mean, that's all talk. At the end of the day, we got to just keep fighting. At the end of the day, whatever that looks like, physically, mentally. I mean, just keep hitting the reset button and keep attacking. I mean, there's nothing too much to talk about.
As a corner, you must have a pretty high appreciation for what Eddie Jackson gives you guys on the back end behind you. What changes when he goes out on the first play or second play or whatever it was?
Changes. I mean, in an instant, I mean, you just feel sorry because your brother is out. But, I mean, at the end of the day, nobody has time to mourn the loss. At the end of the day, we got to keep moving. And I thought that's been the story of the season. I mean, people go down, people can't go, or injuries occur. I mean, we just got to keep pushing. There's no reason to mourn the loss or to keep feeling down on the loss. We got to keep moving forward, the next man up.
You've been dealt with a lot of injuries so far to key players this season. You talk about kind of moving forward, but I mean, how difficult is it now as you continue on without guys like Mac, Eddie, Hakeem's had his injuries throughout this season? Like, how do you guys press forward and try to play at that high level?
I mean, honestly, for me, it ain't nothing to it but to do it. I mean, there's not too much to talk about. Nobody cares. I mean, at the end of the day, nobody's going to feel sorry. Nobody's going to have a real no sympathy for you. I mean, at the end of the day, they don't care that Mac's down. They're going to line up and they're going to go at you. So, I mean, you take the time to feel sorry because your guys are out, then that's on you.
Sunday felt like an uncharacteristic performance for the defense as a whole. How did you feel leaving there and watching it back? Are there things that you say, man, that just wasn't us?
I mean, honestly, it was just the big plays. I mean, it was big play after big play after big play. And, I mean, honestly, if we take away that 3rd and 19, I feel like the game's totally different. We take away kind of the long bomb before halftime and that 3 points that they got before halftime, the game's different. So, I mean, it's really just a game of momentum. And their big plays carried them throughout the game. Their defense started making plays. So, I mean, it just for me, it just trampled on after they started making big plays.
Where's your confidence that this defense can still play, at that top level that we've seen before? Like, where do you draw that confidence from?
What's your question?
Where do you draw confidence from that this defense can still play at that high level?
I mean, my confidence never wavered. My confidence didn't change. I mean, at the end of the day, it's little things. It's not like we're not good enough. It's not like we don't have what it takes. I mean, it's just little keys, just little fixes, honestly, that make a big difference. So, I mean, my confidence is still through the roof in the guys and in myself and in the play calling and just top to bottom. So, I mean, we just got to keep fighting.
I know you can't tell the quarterback necessarily throw it at you, but what are some of the things you can do to get that takeaway back? It's been a little bit of a drought for you guys, and then how do you avoid pressing?
What do we do to take the ball away? I mean, just make it a conscious effort. I mean, play after play after play, we can't really get bored of it. We can't forget about it. We honestly just got to keep fighting and scratching at the ball every play, really make an emphasis on taking the ball away. I mean, you can't force them to give you the ball, but, I mean, you just got to keep fighting, keep scratching, and if the ball comes, the ball comes.
When
when you see what happened with Malik Harrison, the linebacker from the Ravens getting shot, and then Henry Ruggs, obviously with the Raiders, two guys that were in your draft class, is that a reminder for you, or do you take it as a precautionary tale about the things that you're doing, like, outside of the facility?
It has no impact on me because, I mean, I live my life. I try to live my life smart. Regardless, I don't really let what everybody else is doing really influence me. I'm not the type to put myself in bad situations and bad predicaments. And, I mean, I don't know their stories. So, I mean, that's just not, I mean, I stay true to myself. And, I mean, I go home, I go to the facility, and that's it. So, I mean, there's no margin for error when you're focused on the right things.
Obviously, the other side of the ball, but what left an impression on you about what Justin did on Sunday, and what do you take forward with you from his effort?
He's a fighter. I mean, I remember some few weeks back, you guys asked me how he was going to respond. I want to say after the Cleveland game or something like that. I mean, and I said he was a fighter. So, I mean, just him fighting throughout the game, just really giving his all. And even on the 4th and 1 that he ended up scoring a touchdown on, just is a true testament to who he is as a person, who he is as a football player. And, I mean, although he's young and still learning, but, I mean, his effort, I feel like, is never going to waver. He's always going to fight.
As a defender, when you face a quarterback who has that ability to scramble and turn nothing into something, how big of a strain does that put on a defensive back, on a defense as a whole, when you're forced to account for that?
Well, it's a big strain. I mean, you got to cover for a long period of time. I mean, you have to even worry about the quarterback running and escaping out the backfield, and now you have to transition from covering to tackling and trying to get the ball carrier down. So, I mean, definitely adds stress to the whole defense as a whole, and even the play calling, you have to be a little more conservative and focused on his ability when it comes to being able to run and pass.
Jaylon, Ben Roethlisberger kind of at the twilight of his career, but he's still Ben Roethlisberger. When you look at the tape, what are you seeing from him this year?
I mean, I feel like he's been playing kind of consistent the last couple of years and getting the ball out quick. I feel like that's kind of his thing as he's gotten older, really trying to get the ball out quick, go through his reads. And I mean, he has a few playmakers at the wide receiver spot, and even gaining Najee Harris out the backfield and running the ball. So, I mean, he definitely has the ability to get the ball out quick to his playmakers and allow them to make the plays.
Thanks, Jaylon. Appreciate it.